Okay. So I've been seeing a lot of interesting stuff going on. Talking about Epstein and what was going on in his on his island. And there's a lot of different theories out there, so I thought, why not shed some light and just give my own personal theory about what was going on. Don't take this as fact, just take it as, hypothetical, just idea, because, I could be totally wrong before I get into anything. But, before I get into what I want to say, I just think that, if you've ever looked throughout history, even within the history of the United States, you've had a lot of secret societies. For one, the Freemasons. Freemasons has definitely been a society within the United States that a lot of people are familiar with. And I actually have some experience with this because my grandfather was a Freemason, and my mom's side, which is my grandfather that I'm talking about, is very, very religious and very, I don't know how to say this, but they're kind of messed up. I heard stories about how my grandfather used to raise them, and they he used to have them make them play little games that were kind of about games that would help them become better at manipulation. This is just stories I've heard from cousins of mine, but I never really understood why he would make his kids play games that would help make them better at manipulation. And now that this whole Epstein saga has come out, it starts to make more sense why. And I think that the islands, or Epstein Island, or what was it, Little St. James Island, where most of the activity happened, I think it was somewhat of a way to convert people into his I don't know if you can really call it a cult, but his circle of influence. Or I don't think he was the main actor in this, but his little secret society that he's a part of, I think it was somewhat of a means for recruiting people that, were rich and powerful. He would invite them to his island, and on the surface, it seemed like, just kind of like a fun place for rich and wealthy people to come and, have a good time. Nothing too harmful, at first. And as these people continued to come and build a closer relationship with him, he would kind of probe them and test them. He would test the waters. Start by having some attractive woman that is, above the legal age at first, not breaking any laws in the beginning. Maybe offer them a massage or something and see if they were willing to take it. And of course, most of the guys and maybe women, maybe the women that came, he would have them, like a guy, attractive masseur, come and offer them a massage. And he could start, that would be like the first layer of recruitment to see how willing they were to be, corrupted, or whether they were willing to commit transgressions. Like the first level was a simple massage, And according to what I've researched, he had massage tables everywhere. Like people say that he was obsessed with massage, but I don't really see it like he was obsessed with massage. I see that as kind of like a tool that he used to probe the many influential, powerful leaders that came to his island to see how far he could go. And that would be like the first test, getting them a massage. And the more they came, the more, fun they seemed like they were having. Then he would push even further. He would try to see what else they were willing to do. And the second level may have been, I don't know if I don't want to say anything that will get me in trouble on here, but some kind of more serious transgression that was illegal. And of course, on this day that he was trying to recruit to test this person, he may have had other people around who were already more willing to break laws and, felt that he could trust these people and use them as kind of like peer pressure type tools to try and get the new recruit to, do something that he might regret, or she might regret. And as the relationship progressed, he would just keep probing and keep probing. And eventually, when over time, it's kind of like, how a frog, when you're cooking a frog, you have to gradually heat up the water so that the frog doesn't know it's being cooked. Otherwise, it will jump out, obviously. I think this is kind of how Epstein Island worked. And that's how he may have seduced many of these people into committing very bad things, very bad transgressions. And maybe some substances were involved also that were possibly able to lower the people's inhibitions. And over time, these people would be having a great time. They would see that, no matter what they did, Jeffrey never told. So they felt more and more like they could trust him. So over time, they would do more and more things, and he would keep testing the waters, like the frog being cooked. And over time, he would move on to, what he's been in trouble for, and try to see if he could get these same leaders to commit the same acts. And of course, it's very known that he documented everything as much as he could, not only to incriminate these people, but to blackmail them, obviously. And I don't think he was working alone. I think he was kind of a gatekeeper to some kind of cult that possibly could have been satanic, possibly could have been a cult of Baal, cult of Moloch. If you've ever heard of those religions, you might know what I'm talking about. But he was working for these people, and his job was to find and seduce leaders. And this has been going on for, there's evidence of this going on for many, many years. It happened in Rome. It happened, the Sumerians, that, a lot of powerful people in history have had this kind of system where they would do really horrible things, the people at the top, and they would do it as a means of control, so that everybody knew that they had to remain loyal to each other. And at the time, same way, I guess it's a good way to keep people in line, because if everyone is doing horrible things in front of each other and they all know that they're doing horrible things, then, people are less likely to betray each other, especially if, murder is one of the horrible things, because they know if they do betray each other that there's no moral constraint that will stop this group of people from coming after you if you decide to betray someone. So they've been doing this for a very long time because it works. It's a good method for control. So not only does it create a bond, because, not many people are willing to do these things, but it also is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like the point of no return. So they have them doing these crazy rituals that often include sacrifice of actual human beings. And Epstein's job was to find the people that potentially might be willing to work up to that point. And the island was basically a tool for them to test the waters with these people. That's why all these weird things are popping up on it. Like, like massage tables all over the place. I think they said there was temples in there, satanic temples. A lot of really odd things that you wouldn't expect politicians to be interested in, but at the end of the day, this is how that they can trust each other. Or this is how it's a system for trust, or a system for control. And yeah, it's just kind of a mess, and it's coming out. And it's been explained in many different organizations, secret societies. Like, I've heard similar structure for the Freemasons, like I was talking about earlier. I've heard similar structure for fraternities. Fraternities kind of use the same concept. I mean, I know Yale, Skull and Bones, many Yale fraternities, Harvard fraternities use the same concept. I mean, the Roman elites did the same thing. I mean, you hear about it in the Bible. It's nothing new. So I'm not really surprised that it's turning up in modern society also, because it's basically a system for control. And people think, oh, it's so horrible, why are they doing all these things? You know, it's not right. Because the way they see it is, people who have moral constraints, that see horrible acts going on, they see them as weak. These rich and powerful people that have unquenchable hunger or unquenchable thirst for power, they see people with moral constraints as weak. And for what they're trying to accomplish and become more powerful in every way imaginable, they're kind of right. You can't trust somebody who is bound by morality. If you want to reach an unlimited amount of power, because morality will limit you, will limit them, and they're people that are bound by no limit. So if you are limited by transgressions and are unable to do transgressions, then the way they see it, you don't belong in their club. So they understand that if they want to continue to be powerful, then they need to surround themselves with allies, but they need allies that are not going to betray them, that they can control. That's exactly how rich and powerful think. They want friends. If they're going to have friends or allies, then they want people they can trust and people that they can control. So if you have a group of people that are doing human sacrifice, that are breaking the law, doing a lot of horrible things, then you know they're all going to fear each other, because they all know that they're willing to kill if they're betrayed, and at the same time, they're willing to do what it takes to stay in power and to gain as much power as possible. So that's how I see it. That's my personal belief on what was going on in Epstein Island. If you're somebody who is anxious for power, then, and to summarize, it's you can't have any moral constraints. If you want to be the most powerful, then you can't have any limits. And because power relies on making difficult decisions that not everybody can. Like these politicians, they do make a lot of decisions that impact a lot of people. So, they make decisions that a lot of people die from. So if you're going to be one of the people at the top, the way they see it, I personally don't have an opinion on this, but the way they see it is you can't be tied down by moral constraints. You can't be afraid of, murder. You can't have, you can't be willing to betray somebody for sleeping with your wife, like all types of, things like that. So I guess an easy way to explain it, or if you want to put it into one phrase, is liberation by transgression. That's how they see it. Mental liberation by transgression. And yeah, I think we're at 20 minutes now, but that's my personal take on what was going on in Epstein Island. I'll just summarize it real quick if you don't want to listen to the whole rambling. But the island started off with Epstein offering these people in power, these rich and powerful people, a massage. It would later progress to committing little transgressions that were like maybe, prostitution. And then it would lead to even worse transgressions, like what Jeffrey Epstein got in trouble for. That would be like level 3. Level 4 would be maybe, sacrificing an animal. Level 5 might be sacrificing a human. Level 6 might be sacrificing something even more innocent that I'm not going to say because I don't want to get in trouble, but I think you can have an idea of where I'm going with this. So once you get to those higher levels, that's how they know they can trust you, and you become a part of the inner circle, basically. And everyone before that couldn't make it to the inner circle, their information will all come out. They're the ones that you see in the Epstein files their names are all, being blasted everywhere, because those are the ones that couldn't commit the grand transgressions. Those are the ones that, that maybe they were okay with, an escort or prostitution or whatever, but they couldn't move on to the human sacrifice or whatever. So their information comes out. But anyway, in the inner circle, the only way these people are ever going to be found out is if our entire government collapses, which is probably going to happen eventually one day. Hopefully not in my lifetime, but if you look at history, that's kind of like how it went down. All the governments and all the, great powers from the past, they were all kind of committing the same system of trust. They had their own version of it, of course, but they would commit many transgressions, including human sacrifice, as a method of control and trust and bonding. And eventually, their society would crumble and be taken over by another society, but all this would come out when a new system took over. So we won't know the details until that happens, basically. And hopefully it won't happen in our lifetime, but it will happen eventually. And it's all going to come out. But it will probably be when we're living on multiple planets. When we're living on multiple, maybe it will happen when we're living in multiple galaxies, but it will come out eventually and we'll finally find out who's at the top. That I am very confident of. So anyways, I hope you guys like this. I hope it was, interesting to some of you. Feel free to like and share, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care.